right, we've got an update on the weird Pam Bondi MAGA Honeypot Epstein saga. This thing that was already weird just got weirder. Because now we've got a DOJ official who is suing. Okay? And now, as a result, we are seeing exactly how this exposes a rift between Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and her own right-wing media ecosystem over the Epstein files. So here we go. We got the leopards once again going after Bondi's face. Now, this is not a surprise to those of us who have been paying attention to that rift. MAGA has been pretty mad at Pam Bondi ever since she lied about the Epstein files being like literally on her desk. And so this is the latest example of how they're eating each other, okay? The right wing. So if you missed the first video, here's the breakdown, okay? So you had a DOJ official, Joseph Schnitt, getting targeted in a sting video by a fake blonde named Skylar. Skylar is actually a member of Project Veritas and actually also worked for, or works for, one of the Turning Point USA groups or satellite groups. Okay, so she does a secret recording of Schnitt talking about the Epstein files, Donald Trump, witness protection, etc. Right, and Pam Bondi, by the way, calling Bondi a yes person, which, by the way, it's true, she is, and talking about how they were going to basically remove all Republicans from the Epstein files, all the Republican names, and leaving, if you know, any of the Democrat names or donor names that happen to be in there. Okay, so, oh boy. Now, Bondi uses that sting and his statements as a justification to fire him. You know, because it looks bad for her. So this was a MAGA purge because she was embarrassed that he undermined her on the Epstein files. Now, when you look closer at the lawsuit, though, and the transcripts now, there might be something else going on additionally. Remember, Bondi and the MAGA crowd, they hyped the hell out of the Epstein revelations, the Epstein files. In fact, you had all these right-wing influencers standing outside with like this binder that was supposedly filled with new information about Epstein, and it turns out, no, it actually wasn't. Okay, so they had teased, though, Bondi had, secret files, bombshell videos, the lists of powerful elites, and the right-wing outlets, they ran wild. Okay, any day now, Epstein files, they're going to drop, and the deep state, it's going to collapse, and they're going to take down the paid-out Democrats. Except that obviously never happened. In reality, yes, you did have a bunch of files that came out, and not a lot of them look good for Donald Trump. Okay, he is definitely in the files. So, by the way, there's another bonus here, which is just fun. Larry Summers, who, it was one of Obama's policy guys, okay, who was definitely not a friend of progressives, who, you know, it wasn't exactly or isn't exactly a fan of things like universal health care, Medicare for all. He's not faring well either, which is just fun for me, okay? Not a fan of Larry Summers. But anyway, after Bondi didn't release any of the Epstein files like she had promised to, the people who had been promising their audiences that, you know, oh, you're going to get this apocalyptic moment and we're going to take down the deep state, the O'Keefes, right? And Bongino, even, Dan Bongino, before he joined the FBI and apparently is now helping to cover up these files. The whole Click Farm ecosystem was, well, I mean, they were excited about this, but, you know, since nothing happened, they got left holding the bag. And so, understandably, they're kind of pissed. So here's where the Schnitt sting matters. On the recording, he said that Bondi was a yes person, claimed that there's tension between Bondi and Bongino over what could actually come out of the Epstein files, and suggests that the public isn't going to get the righteous Democrat exposed dump that right-wing media had been promising. That's right.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Not happening. At least not in the way that they want to. Of course, there will be dumps, but it will probably look bad for a lot of Republicans. Maybe some Democrats are tied up in there, and I don't care. Okay, Democrats, big money donors, don't care. Of course, there is also this point that not a lot of people are talking about, but it would appear that Epstein may have been working for Israeli intelligence. Just saying, just throwing that out there. And it would make sense that he would have a lot of dirt on mainly Republicans, yes, but also on other politicians like Democrats. So, oops. So, that said, Schnitt pretty much said the quiet parts out loud. That Bondi and the DOJ are not delivering that fantasy version of the Epstein files that MAGA sold to their audience. Okay? And by the way, Donald Trump also had tried to sell this, to their audience, and then was like, "Oh, never mind. Why are we still talking about Epstein? Why are we still talking about this guy? Let's move on. Let's talk about the what I did for the economy. Let's talk about the great stuff." Okay. So now, right-wing influencers and MAGA, they're not happy about this. So when O'Keefe sends in Skylar to fish for comments about Epstein, Bondi, and the files, that wasn't by accident. That was planned. That was pressure. They're not just exposing a rogue DOJ guy. They're gathering ammunition to hit Pam Bondi. A lot of people not happy with Pam Bondi. All right, as well as the institution for not giving them what they wanted. So Bondi, instead of clocking this as a political shakedown from her own side, she takes the bait, she fires Schnitt over the footage, and now Schnitt is suing, arguing that his rights were violated and that this was a politically motivated firing. So now Bondi, is in a fun little spot. Bondi, that's an interesting Freudian slip there. So on one side, he gets sued by the guy that she fired. On the other side, you get the right-wing ecosystem that is, again, turned against her, that helped create this mess, pretty angry, okay? Because the Epstein files did not materialize the way that they had hoped. And so she had attempted to ride MAGA media, and, oh, would you look at that, the leopards came for her face. Oops. Look, this is what happens when you weaponize Law and Order for headlines, and you overpromise on something that you actually have no intention of delivering on, okay, in order to feed the conspiracy theory machine. And of course, you rely on, well, O'Keefe-type media actors to do the dirty work. So Bondi messed up big time in many different ways. First, by making huge Epstein promises that she couldn't keep, by letting a sting operation dictate her personnel decisions, and thinking that the right-wing media machine is going to back her. They aren't. Now she's finding out that that same machine is going to happily knife her in the back the second she stops delivering. And a fired official with a constitutional claim is a lot harder to manage than a friendly segment on Fox News. So yeah, this honeypot sting is not about Schnitt, okay, saying stuff that he probably shouldn't have over lunch. Assuming, of course, that his story of like, oh, it was just my profession, it was just my opinion, not based on my job at all, or any information that I know. Strange if you watch that video. No, this is a window into the fracture between MAGA operatives inside the government, like Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and the media apparatus that has hyped up their base, their viewers, with endless conspiracy theory content. These people want blood. They want the Epstein revelations against the Democrats, and they're not going to get it. And they don't care who they burn to keep their outrage industrial complex running. If this video helped you cut through the BS and see what is really happening, then smash that like button. Every single like pushes back against the right-wing propaganda machine. I can't do this work without your support. So please check out my Patreon. Link is in the description of this video. For a few bucks a month, you can help keep this channel independent from corporate BS. So hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's keep fighting for democracy and against fascism together.